Hello, hello, hello. I pray that all is well. I pray that all is well. I want to welcome you to Deliver Me Nuggets. My name is Apostle AleciaBiggers, and on this station every Tuesday, we meet here at 6:15, and this is where we talk about deliverance. This is where we talk about deliverance. And so the nugget that I want to talk about today, I'm not going to be on here long. Excuse me, but I want to talk about help yourself. That's the topic that we want to talk about. Help yourself. I got a definition for the word help. When you think about the word help, it means to serve, it means to assist, and it means to support. A lot of times when we think about helping, we always thinking about helping somebody else, but on this station we're talking about deliverance. So we're talking about helping ourselves, because let's face, we're not good to nobody else if we're no good to ourselves. And so when we're talking about deliverance, this is where we're talking about being intentional, where we're going to help ourselves. This is where you got to be willing to look at your life, to look at the bad, the ugly, look at your wrong decisions, look at what you're doing, because so many times we play the victim and we want people to feel sorry for us, and we're waiting for God to come out of the heaven, and we expect him to change our lives, not understanding the Spirit of God gives us strength to change our lives. And so many times we get disappointed because we don't like the way that our life looks, but it's because we are not helping ourselves. Too many times, I can tell you, been there, done that, where I have spent a lot of time helping other people when I wasn't helping myself, encouraging other people, and I did not encourage myself. And we got to understand that even it's biblical that you should help yourself. I want to go from a text of John 5 and look at verse 5. It says, "Now there was a certain man, and there was who had an infirmity for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there in that condition long time, he said to him, 'Do you want to be made whole?'" This is where Jesus asked the man a question. Do you want to be whole? And when he asked the man answered him saying, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirring up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise up, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made whole, and the man was made well. He took up his bed and walked. Why am I showing you this scripture? Because this is where Jesus is letting you know we got to stop playing the victim. Stop saying, "Oh, poor, pitiful little me. You don't know what I went through. You don't know what they said about me. You don't know how I've been treated. They supporting everybody else but me. They helping everybody else but me." But God saying, when are you going to help yourself? Stop waiting on somebody to do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I know this does not sound good, but can I tell you, you're going to find yourself in the same situation that you in if you change, start helping yourself. The moment in time that we're strolling on Facebook, we're looking on Instagram, we're watching TV, with the longest we keep on wasting our time, you got to understand, time don't wait on nobody. You can't get back 5 minutes from now. You can't get back to 6 o'clock. It's already over with. And so if we're not making effort and time to deal with our situations, guess what? The devil is going to continue to make you keep on waiting and waiting and waiting, not understanding that God has given you the strength and the ability to change your life. Do you not know when you don't do anything to help yourself, you are sabotaging yourself? When you're sitting there and you're mad and you're upset and you don't like the way your life looks and you're procrastinating, "I'm gonna get better," and you don't ever do what you need to do to make your life better, and I tell you, you are helping the enemy to destroy you. Because guess what, blessed woman of God, nobody can't harm you but you. You can stop people from harming you by you helping yourself. So many times we let time go by when you don't see any productivity in your life, when you find yourself stuck, when you see that everybody else is moving on, but you're doing the same thing that you always did, when you always disappointed, you always frustrated, and you keep saying, "I won't change," but you're not changing. You gotta understand, time for you to help yourself. Blessing mother. And this is where you got to be willing to look at yourself. You got to be willing to look at your nakedness. You got to be willing to say, "You know what? I waste a lot of time. You got to be willing to be still mad, or you still mad. You got to ask yourself these questions. What hindering me? What is hindering me from making progress? What is hindering me from growing? So you got to get by yourself, get out the room with your friend, your family, get in the room by yourself and ask yourself, what is hindering me? How come I'm not moving forward? How come I'm stuck? How come I'm always thinking about what people did? How come I'm thinking about the situation all the time? How come I'm always looking at myself like I am a victim? When you're looking at this is an indication that something is wrong with you. If something is wrong with the way that you think, yeah, you may look normal. Yeah, you may seem like everybody say you okay, but something is wrong when a person does not help themselves. When a person is looking for somebody else, let's be honest, it's a lot of people in the world, they're looking for somebody else to make their life better. You know what? If you just do this, I'll be happy. If you do this, you know what? Everything in my life will be smooth. No. You gotta understand it's not another person's responsibility to make you happy. It's your responsibility. This is why Jesus told the man in John 5, he said, do you want to be made whole? And the man kept coming up with excuses. Every time I get ready to jump in the water, somebody jump in front of me. And Jesus said, yo bad. That means you got to deal with yourself. You got to deal with the way that you thinking. You got to deal with how you acting crooked, how you acting handicapped, how you acting sick, how you acting pitiful, how you want to feel sorry for yourself. And you keep dwindling over and over and over again about what has happened to you. And Jesus is saying, pick up your bed and walk. It's time for you to help yourself. You keep seeing people keep walking and they getting in the pool and they getting healed, but you keep saying they beating me. But this is where you got to make up your mind and take your eyes off of other people and put your eyes on yourself, because you got to understand, when you're blaming somebody else, you're taking it off of you and you're putting it on them. You got to stop with the excuses. Well, I'm just waiting on God to turn things around. I'm telling you, you're going to be disappointed, because God is waiting on you for years. I'm just waiting on God. And I'm saying, you ain't waiting on me. You got to change your attitude. You got to change what you're doing. You got to change how you thinking. You got to change who you hanging around with. You got to change your environment, because can I tell you, life will pass you by as long as you just keep waiting on somebody to come and change some things. Because let's be honest, the reason our life looks the way that it is based off the choices that we have made. It's based off the wrong choices, the wrong habits and decisions that we have agreed to. And we got to sit back and say, you know what? I made a bad decision when I did that. You know what? I didn't ask God when I did that. See, this is when you're supposed to reflect back over what you have done, so that you can learn what to do the next time, so you won't be like a dog going back to its vomit. Because so many times we'll get out of one situation and we'll go in another situation just like the last situation, because we did not learn our lesson. And this is where God will put people in your life to help you. If you're going to be delivered, you better stop rejecting your help. God will send deliverers in your life. They may be a parent. They may be a pastor, they may be a friend, they may be a co-worker, and they're giving you truth. And just because you don't like it, it does not mean that it's not God. You got to understand, when it comes to deliverance, it does not feel good right now, but as time go by, you will get to a place and realize it was good that I went through that pain. It was good that I had to go through this. And this is where God is trying to show you, you had to go through them talking about you. You had to go through them cheating on you. You had to go through them rejecting you. You had to go through them abandoning you. Why? So God can show you where you won't go back to them same type of people. But if you're not learning from the mistakes, you're not helping yourself. Because I get out of a relationship on Monday, and on Friday I'm in a new relationship. I did not give myself a time to say, you know what? I got to learn from the mistakes. What mistakes did I make? You got to ask yourself, what mistakes did you make in your past? Because you want to make sure you don't bring that old bondage into your new life. And so therefore, you got to be able to recognize, what did you do in your past? What was that hindered you? What did you do in your past that stopped you from growing? Because see, a lot of times we are comfortable not growing. We're comfortable just having $2 in our bank account and we fine with it. We comfortable making sure sure we're looking good, but we ain't got nothing in our savings account. We got to understand this is craziness. I tell the people at church, even if you got to save $20 a week, I'd rather save $20 every week than to not have nothing at the end of the month. At least I can say, I got $80 in my savings account versus saying I ain't got nothing. But if you spend it every dime you have, you're not helping yourself. This is where you got to understand. The Bible says we must operate in self-control. That's one of the fruit of the spirits. This is where you got to be willing to spend some time with yourself to allow yourself to focus on your wrongs. See, this is where we have been immature, where we don't want to face the fact that we made a wrong decision. We were being prideful because we don't want to own up to that. You know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I was just winging it. I was just faking it. And God is saying, you know what? You're messing up because you're not sitting there by yourself to say, you know what do I need to do to change? And we got to stop thinking that change is going to feel good. Change does not feel good, but you got to understand and you got to tell yourself, this is good for me. This is good for me because you know what it feels like to be hurt. You know what it feels like to be lied on. You know what it feels like to be cheated on and people looking at you like you're nothing. And so therefore you're taking the time to build yourself up. You're taking the time to pray. You're talking to God. You're making sure that your heart is right. You making sure you're looking at things from the right perspective. That's going to take a long time. You spending time with yourself. But if you think you're going to always have strength, no, you're not. If you think you're going to say, oh, today I'm just going to spend some time. No, you're not going to want to do it. But this is where you're going to have to make yourself do it. This is where you're going to got to understand everything is not about gratifying your flesh. Everything is not about pleasing your flesh. You got to understand if you're going to grow, it's not going to feel good. Even when little babies, when they're going through their growth spurts, they're crying, they're eating, and then they're crying and they whining because their body is changing. And so you got to understand, as God is growing us, guess what? It's not going to feel good, but you got to know that it's good for you, because a lot of times we lie to ourselves when we say, you know what? Oh, everything is good because you think you feel, if it feels good to your flesh, you telling yourself it's good. No, that's a lie. I can eat 10 pieces of cake. It may taste good as I'm eating, but after I get finished eating, my stomach is going to hurt. You know why? Because I ate too much. Blessings to you. And so this is where God is saying you got to know to help yourself, because by me eating them 12 pieces of cake, it was not good for me. So now my stomach is hurting when I should have had say, no, I only ate one piece and that's it, and I'm not going to eat anymore. You got to know how to operate in self-control. You got to know if you're going to help yourself, you got to pray and empty your heart to God. Tell God all about it. So many times we're telling our friends, we're telling other people who cannot help us, but the main person who can help you to realize and look at yourself, when I talk to God, that's when I really begin to recognize, you know what, you did wrong when you did that, when you was thinking that way, when you let it happen that way. And that's when God began to reveal to me, you know what, you did wrong. And see, and this is why we need to empty ourselves. We need to think about, what are you always so mad about? That's the thing that you need to deal with. That's an unresolved issue that you need to help yourself and you need to bring closure to. Why are you still mad about the spilled milk? The milk been spilled 3 years ago and you still upset about this person, about it. When you see them, you upset. God say it's time to help yourself and move on. It's time to help yourself, forgive them and move on. It's time to help yourself and let it go. This is where we got to understand, if we're going to go where God got for us to go, everybody can't go with you. And the Bible say that, you know what? God said, if you're holding unforgiveness in your heart, guess what? You telling God that he don't have to forgive you. Let's be honest. If you got your mind set, this is where you got to set goals for yourself. Where do you see yourself 6 months from now? Where do you see yourself a year from now? If you don't have any goals for yourself, you ain't helping yourself. Can I tell you why? Because when you don't expect anything out of yourself, you really telling yourself, I don't feel like I'm nothing. I don't feel like I'm any value. I don't feel like I'm important. I I don't feel like I got a purpose. But when you understand you got a purpose, you're going to set a goal for yourself. You're going to say, you know what? I'm going to set a goal in the next 3 months. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. You know what? I'm going to set a goal that, you know what? I'm going to at least exercise 1 time a week. You got to set goals for yourself, because when you're setting goals for yourself, you are helping yourself. But when you ain't setting no goals, when you ain't saying, I'm seeing myself, I'm going to be finished with my degree in the next year or so, when I'm going to have a X amount of dollars saved in my savings account, you got to be willing to set goals for yourself. If you're not willing to set any goals for yourself, you are flat out have given up on yourself, and you're putting all your energy into another person. Shame on you, because God is saying that we're supposed to be helping ourselves first, because God lives on the inside of you. What do I look like helping somebody else more than I help myself? What do I look like spending more time with another person more than I spend time with myself, because I'm not helping me? You got to understand, you got to tell yourself there's purpose in my life. I got a purpose in my life, and therefore you got so many people thinking that they're going to have all these millions of dollars. Their business going to be here and there, but then yet they're not spending any time dealing with their issues. Oh, I want this relationship. Guess what? Your relationship is not going to be good, because you're not spending time working on yourself, because you only can attract what you are. And this is where we got to learn how to be supportive to yourself. You got to learn how to encourage yourself. You know what? I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I'm setting a goal that I can do. I'm going to start going to the doctor at least once a year to check on myself. I'm going to start doing these breast exams, because I got to learn to take care of me. I got to start exercising, because I got to help myself. I'm going to start reading a book, because I understand my brain is going to work better when I challenge it. I got to help me. You know what? I got to begin to think. I got to begin to pray and ask God to lead me and guide me. What am I doing? Because I know I need his help, because if I'm doing things on my own, he's letting me know I'm going to fail. He's letting me know things are not going to work out. But when I listen to him, he is obligated to help me. But when you don't know how to help yourself, you just letting the chips fall wherever they fall. You letting folks tell you what to do. You letting folks tell you what they think. How can they tell you what? You look at their life. If their life is messed up, why are you letting them lead you? This is why God is saying we better learn how to help ourselves first, because when you help yourself first, you're going to make healthier choices. The same people you used to be interested in, you're not going to be interested in them. The same people who used to be friends with, you're not going to pick those kind of friends. Why? Because you stood back and you look at your mistakes. And I don't know about you. I'm looking at my mistakes. I'm looking at my poor decisions. I'm looking at my choices. I'm looking at when I didn't ask God. I'm looking at it when I ignored the red flags. When I did this, I found myself making so many mistakes, and these was years of mistakes. And now I got to regroup, because I'm saying, God, I need you to show me, where did I go wrong? We got to ask God, where did we go wrong? Because if you don't ask God, where did you go wrong, you're going to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And he waiting on you to ask him so he can reveal to you. You know what? It may come through the pastor on the television. It may come through prayer. It may come through the word. But you got to understand, when God speaks to you the truth, through the deliverance to help you, this is not the time to get upset. This is not the time to get easily offended. When you're helping yourself, can I tell you, you can accept constructive criticism. You can accept it, because you understand this person is trying to help me. When I was in nursing school, and my instructor was so hard on me, and I was like, what did I do to you? I mean, I was just having a hard time. And she said, Alisa, I'm hard on you because I know you got the potential to be a good nurse. And she said, and I want you to be the best nurse. She said, that's why I'm hard on you. So when I was in nursing school, I got the Spirit Award, the nurse with the most spirit, because I was able to handle the pressure, and I was able to overcome a lot of obstacles that life threw at me. And this is what we got to understand. When you're learning to help yourself, you're going to be like the man that Jesus talked to. Pick up your bed and walk. Pick up your situation and deal with it. This is where we got to stop running from the situation. Stop running from the truth. Stop running. It is what it is. We telling ourselves, no, this ain't it. No, that ain't it. No, you know it is what it is, and you got to accept the reality. The situation is telling you what it is. But now you got to ask yourself, Are you going to do what needs to be done, or you going to keep lying to yourself? If you're going to help yourself, you got to stop lying to yourself, telling yourself it's going to get better, because guess what? It don't take 5 years to make things better. It don't take 6 months to make it better. If something wants to be better, change is right now. And this is where God is saying, if you're going to help yourself, you got to understand, if people don't want better, it's time to say deuces. If they don't want to go where you're going, deuces. It's where you got to learn to trust yourself more than you trust another person. You got to be willing to walk away from something that you're comfortable with, something that you're familiar with, because you got to know how to help you. Can I tell you, we got to know how to love people sometimes, love them enough to lead them. I'm going to say it again. Loving people enough to lead them. Why? Because it's where you're going like this. The Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? And so if we're not agreeing on the same thing, if we're not agreeing to go in the same direction, if we're not agreeing to put the same thing in our mind, if we're not agreeing to the same God, I gotta not accept the fact it is what it is. Me and this person is not going to work out. Me and this job is not going to work it out. Me and this business partner is not going to work it out. It's going to take me now making the choice that I got to love myself enough to walk away. And this is where we got to understand, it's not saying that the person is a bad person. It's not saying that the job is a bad job. It's not saying that your business partner is a bad business partner. It's just saying that it's not right for you. And when you're learning how to be healthy, you got to know what's good for you and what's not good for you. I know that eating ham is not good for me. I understand when I eat ham, it don't work with my body. And so I understand I don't eat it because it don't agree with me. And so you got to understand, when something don't agree with you, you help yourself enough to say, I can't do this, but I'm not going to eat something and I'm knowing that it's not agreeing with me. I know that it's harming me. I know that it's making me stuck. I know that it's making me sick. I know that it's making me complacent. So if I'm going through these things, this is where I got to now to make the necessary changes that's going to help me. So this is why we got to stop thinking that other people is going to make you their number one when you're not your number one. I'm going to say that again. Stop thinking people are going to make you their number one when you don't even make yourself your number one. You're going to attract what you are. When you start looking at yourself like you're number one, the right people who going to come in your life, they're going to see you as a number one because you're going to attract other number ones. That's the law of attraction. You attract what you are, but we can't attract nothing if we don't see ourselves as nothing. So when we see ourselves as nothing, you're going to attract other people that's going to see you as nothing too. And so therefore, we can't be getting mad when people don't see us the right way, because let's be honest, you didn't see yourself as a person of importance. You didn't see yourself as a person of value. And so when you know how to value yourself, you're going to make better choices to help yourself. And so as I get ready to come to a conclusion for this nugget, go back to John 5, verses 5 through 9. The man, we don't want to be like the man at first. Well, I've been here 38 years. Do you not know it took him 38 years until Jesus came to challenge him? We got to understand, God will put people in your life to challenge you, for you to grow and for you to go forward. But if you're not ready to go forward, guess what? God is not going to make you. He will let you stay right where you at. Because when you're ready to help yourself, you're going to be willing to do whatever it takes for you to grow. You're going to be doing whatever it takes for you to begin to start making movement and to walk forward. And so if you seeing that you're not walking forward, if you see that your life is at a plateau, if you see that your life is at a place where you say, I don't like this, this is a time that it's time to make some choices, that you need to learn how to help yourself, and you need to back off from stop trying to help other people, and you need to now use that time and energy to help yourself. Amen. This is Apostle AleciaBiggers. I pray that this nugget got you thinking. I'd rather for you to think and change than for me to tell you something that's pleasing to you and then yet there's no change in your life. This is a time that it's time for us to grow. It's time for us to grow through and stop waiting on God to pick you up out of the situation. This is the reason why we've been in the situation so long, because we're not ready to grow through. How long are you going to wait? Are you going to be like the man that spent 37 years waiting for somebody to make your life change, when it took Jesus coming to challenge him for him to say, you know what? I got to pick up my bed and walk. When Jesus challenged him, he began to receive the word of God, and the Bible says the man was made whole. So who are you waiting on? Are you waiting on somebody to come and pick you up? Are you going to receive the word of the Lord and help yourself and move forward? It's okay to cry. It's okay to let the tears flow. It's okay to say, God, I needed closure, but you got to be willing to move forward and let the chips fall the way that they need to fall. Because this is the season you got to help yourself. You have spent too many time helping everybody else. And let's face it, we helping everybody else, but who's helping you? Nobody. And so when you see that nobody's helping you and you keep on trying to prove a point to somebody else, God is trying to show you something about the situation. He's trying to get you to evaluate your life and say, I'm important just like how you important. I matter just like how you matter. And so guess what? I'm going to spend my time and energy helping myself and not just sitting up here trying to help you and nobody's helping me. So let this nugget encourage you. Let this nugget get you thinking. How do you think? What's hindering you? Why do you always think about this situation? Why does it always make you mad? How come you always go back over the spilled milk? How come you always pondering over the negative? It's because God's saying it's time for you to do something about it and stop just letting these thoughts come to your mind. No, it's time to do something about it. It's time to move forward, and it's time to go for what God has called and ordained for you to walk in, and stop crying about spilled milk and begin to walk over and say, you know what, I see you later. I ain't crying about this no more. Nope, I'm not going to miss another. I'm not going to give myself a headache about this, but I'm going forward because I understand it's time for me to help myself. This is Apostle AleciaBiggers. I will see you all Thursday. I pray that something that I said got you stirred up, and I pray that this got you thinking about how do you think, and are you really helping yourself? Are you really looking back over your poor decisions and your poor habits, and you're ready to make the necessary changes? I love you all with the love of the Lord. You all be blessed.